Hey guys, welcome back to another Cultured Boys discussion. I'm Pepe and I'm joined by Nathan. And funny enough, we're talking about one of Nathan's favorite series today.
Yes.
I can see the excitement on his face. He's ready to talk about
Yes.
this. You could say he's raring to go. He's gearing up.
Hitting the gas. Gas.
Yeah, if you haven't guessed from our small hints just there, we watched Initial D.
Yes.
So, from what I gather, you've actually never watched Initial D before, have you, Nathan? You've only read
No.
it.
Only read the manga and we watched on Crunchyroll. I was about to say we watched everything on Crunchyroll, but that might be a lie. I watched everything on Crunchyroll.
Yeah. I also watched everything on Crunchyroll because it's just
No,
there, isn't it? Like, I don't think was it there before?
no, I didn't mean like everything. I meant like everything that Crunchyroll had available for Initial D because it was
Yeah.
first stage, second stage, uh movie, third stage movie, fourth stage. But there's like
Mhm.
I think there's another movie or two and two more seasons, but they're not on Crunchyroll for whatever reason. So
Interesting.
I watched everything. I watched all
Wonder
of it.
wonder why it wasn't available.
I have no idea. Didn't look into it.
But before we jump into any of this, any more stuff, Nathan, you want to give a rundown of your favorite series?
Well, one of my favorite series, but yes.
One. Yes. Okay.
So, created by Shuichi Shigeno, published in Kodansha July 17th, 1995 to July 29th, 2013. So, quite a sizable chunk. Aired originally April 19th, 1998. And this is all the way to final stage. So, like the
Okay.
end of the anime, June 22nd, 2014. Again, quite a long time.
Mm.
98 to 2014 for the anime and 95 to 2013 for the manga. Like, that's pretty crazy. And Initial D is about Takumi Fujiwara spends a lot of time behind the wheel. His tofu delivery job sends him racing down the treacherous roads of Mount Akina, and without even realizing it, Takumi has mastered racing techniques that take most drivers a lifetime to learn. Of course, none of his friends realize this. They're all too busy watching the Akina Speed Stars, the local street racing team. When the legendary Red Suns show up to challenge the Speed Stars, it looks as if the Trueno 86 that has been seen racing through the mountain roads. The question remains, who's the driver of the Phantom car?
Ugh. Yes, thank you, Nathan. Where's the source on that one?
um, I don't remember. I think I got it from a wiki.
I low key thought you made that up yourself for a second there, because the way you were like reading it like really passionate. Like, what was it? Is that line like, of course, none of his friends realize this, and
Well,
it's
it's
like, Dad,
like
Did Nathan write this?
no, it's just sometimes you read a line and you can hear it, and I'm like, oh, that's just
Yeah,
one of those lines, where it's like, of
yeah.
course, none of his friends realize it. Oh my god, it's like advertising shit.
Yeah, he's trying this time. He's trying. But yeah. So this is my first time experience any Initial D at all.
Yes.
The closest thing I had beforehand was probably when I was in primary school. I think for my 10th birthday, one of my friends got me an Initial D race car, like an RC car.
Nice.
But I didn't know what it was at the time. I was like, "Oh, cool, a race car." Plus, like, I'm gonna say this now for like, so it proceeds the rest of this episode. I'm not a car guy either. I play
No.
racing games,
Yep.
but I ain't a car guy. So a lot of even as a kid, when my mate got me this, I was like, "Ah, that's cool," and I was like, I don't know, like obviously, like be polite and everything, but I was like,
Yeah.
this is kind of lost on me at the end of the day. Like, it's not. It's really good. Like for any primary school kid to actually get a present from a mate, it's like, oh, okay, that's actually
Yeah.
really
No, that's
cool.
pretty cool.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So but yeah, I've not really experienced much Initial D past that really. I know obviously a lot of the stuff that I might have heard from like Takumi, and I know the name Takumi
Yeah.
because of discussions I've had with you really.
Yeah.
And I think the only other thing I've experienced this is what was that Switch game which is kind of like Outrun that we both downloaded and it played it for a bit and it's quite hard.
Oh god,
Uh,
it's been a
it
while
was
since I
a
played it. I
it's that
can't remember
weird
what it's
drifting one,
called.
but like regardless though, there was this one character in it called Tofu Boy,
Yeah,
and it was basically modeled after Takumi, which is interesting. Cool, it's a cool choice, I guess. But yeah, what did you think? First thoughts of the anime, Nathan? Considering you've watched the series? Oh, well, read the series before.
I
Like,
mean
how did you
it's
feel?
pretty good. From season to season, it's kind of strange watching how the like visual quality improves.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because like season one or first stage was like from 98, like early 98 to late 98.
yeah.
So it's still got that 90s look, right? But then you go to like season two, second stage, and
Hmm.
the quality jumps like heavily because like that was in like the early 2000s.
Yeah, yeah.
So like you just sort of like, whoa, what happens? And then like it sort of improves marginally for the movie and then third stage. But then fourth stage, you're like, this kind of looks almost like a modern anime almost.
Because well, aired in 2014, so this thing like has got that kind of modern anime quality to it, really.
Yeah.
So and it was is it 20 something episodes? Is it or is it less than that for the fourth
Fourth
series?
stage
Last.
was 24 episodes.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah. So it's a
25, I think actually.
25 episodes to the fourth stage, which is a 2014 anime. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I mean, it's like at that quality where like I know stuff like around 2014 what was
Well, I
coming
mean,
out.
I think fourth stage was probably like around 2010ish to probably like
Oh yeah.
mid 2000s to like 2010ish because final stage was 24 ended in 2014, so like but we didn't have for whatever reason Crunchyroll doesn't have final stage because
Oh right. So so the
fourth stage, fifth stage. I think there's a couple of movies in there somewhere as well,
right.
and then
Okay.
final stage. But final stage is what was in 2014.
So we're missing roughly about 3 or 4 parts. Then you're
Yeah,
saying.
we're missing the tail end of it.
Right, okay, and if that's okay, yeah, yeah, I get what you mean now. Okay, so that's quite a fair bit. And what you said, what you watched on Crunchyroll was probably you said around 2010. Do you reckon that kind of,
Probably,
or
yeah.
or you think a little bit earlier, maybe?
Maybe a little earlier, maybe around like
Yeah,
2008, but it still looked pretty good.
I remember looking at the thumbnails for it, like just as I was browsing through the episode stuff. Like, I didn't read any like of the episode, like synopsis or anything,
Hmm.
because I'm only up to I just finished episode 18. So, I'm really early on it basically. So I was picking up.
You're still in first stage.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like I was picking up and like having a little watch here and there, watch a few episodes and then like do something else basically. So, but like this is one thing, like when it comes down to these episodes of like, oh, watching this for the first time or doing this, none of us are really obligated to watch past like the first few episodes.
Yeah,
And like watching it, I was like, "Oh, okay, it's one of those animes that like it's quite an easy watch, I'd say. But at the same time, if you're not into your car knowledge, you might get a little bit lost on the
yeah.
way through.
It does get a bit technical.
It does a little bit. So I know the basics of like what's going on, but like all their techniques and that is like, oh, he's doing this, and I'm like, as a car guy, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing half the time. Obviously, a lot of it is dictated by their reactions. So if they're like, "Oh
Yeah.
no, this," and I'm like, "Okay, it's a bad thing," I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, why is he worried about this?" Like, but it like regardless, the story is what I was mainly hooked on when I was watching these episodes. And there's a lot of the aesthetic in this series, which is very 90s slash early
Yeah.
2000s, and quite a vibe. I'd say it's a good vibe.
I think the only thing that's a shame that gets lost in the anime is the art style of the manga.
Hmm.
Like it's very iconic. If you've ever seen like a cover or something or just a panel of the like driving, it's very, very iconic. There's so many of these like speed lines. It's
Hmm.
incredibly detailed. Like if you were a car person or you were into those models of cars, you would know what that car is just from looking at the illustration. However, I will say it's cool though that in the anime, you have to think in 1995, the cars were 3D CG.
They were, yeah. So it's
So like that's pretty cool.
that is good. Yeah,
And like
that's
I actually don't know a better way of doing it really cuz like you have to think trying to draw cars moving in a specific way and drifting and
mm.
giving off that sense of speed in an anime in 95. Yeah, that ain't happening.
Yeah, it's one of those ones like I know it can be a bit divisive, the 3D kind of style in
Yeah.
anime, especially when it's mixed in with 2D. Sometimes it's like, oh, or if it's solely 3D, then everyone's like, nah, fuck that. But like I agree though, it is it's probably the best way to kind of depict that in this anime. Like it works really well with it, considering, especially like you said, like for the time it was airing as well.
But like
But
again, it's like early 90's like 3D stuff is just coming in
mhm.
really, like you got to think what else in the 90's was 3D, like Pixar stuff is coming out now
Yeah.
and like people are toying around with it, but it's like new tech. So it's just nuts to think. But at the same time, you know, it still did well. The Eurobeat's pretty good.
Yeah.
Um
The Eurobeat is what got me a lot of the time. I'd say what I like it's it's one of those ones where you watched it and like you know that shit is going down when the Eurobeat
yeah.
kicks in, because there's gonna be some parts of the episode where they're just driving and there's like a little bit of uh like ominous music
Yeah.
playing over the top, and it's like, oh, okay. And that's where a lot of people are like talking and chatting like, oh, I don't know if he can do this, he's doing this, and then there's another person like, ha, you think the 8-6 can beat this guy? And that's where like that ominous music is going over the top and everyone's kind of doubting Takumi. But then, then it cuts in to the Euro beat. And then Takumi's like right behind this other
Yep.
driver. You're like, oh, okay, shit. This is where this is where like it really kicks in, and this is where the real fight is. And it is really good. And this is one thing for the episodes that you watch later on. Did they keep that Eurobeat in?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah, they
you
have. Okay, yeah.
like Eurobeat is almost as important to Initial D as the cars are and the driving
Yeah.
technique. Like
Yeah.
it's literally cars drifting Eurobeat.
Yeah.
That's Initial D. If I had to boil
Yeah.
it down to anything, it is cars drifting Eurobeat.
Yeah. It it's an iconic thing, and it really sets itself apart from probably any other anime you'll see as well with those 3 things.
Oh, for sure.
Uh, and, like, I am curious, my next question is, as someone that reads the manga or has read the manga, what like, do you think it translates better in this form, or like, because obviously the manga, like you said, it's got iconic speed lines, all that kind of stuff, and you can only depict so much, but like with the anime, you show the motion of those cars. Do you think like this series is better portrayed as an anime, or do you think it's
I
equal? Yeah.
do actually think as an anime, it's better to translate
Hmm.
to everybody. Like if
Hmm.
you're trying to cast the widest net, the anime is better because you don't need to imagine things that you don't understand.
Yeah.
Like for example, you mentioned like they talk about driving technique, they talk about like things in the car,
Hmm.
technical things that you won't understand, but then
Yeah.
the anime will show like they'll be like for example, like Keisuke's following behind Takumi. He's like, "Oh, what is he doing? No way, he's doing an inertia drift." And
Mhm.
you would read that and be like, "What the
Yeah.
fuck does that mean?" But in the anime, you see it. Like you
Yeah, yeah.
see him shift the weight to one side and then quickly flick it back to the other to shift the
Yeah.
weight of the car so that he drifts around the
Okay.
corner. In the manga, yes, you saw they do draw that panel,
Mhm.
but you also have to be able to kind of connect the images in your head, right? And if you
Mhm.
don't care about drifting or you don't care about cars, that's not something you're going to be able to do. You just sort of have to be like, okay, he's doing a thing. That I know
Yeah.
he's going to drift because they said drift. That's it, right?
Mhm.
But at least in the anime, he says it, he does it, and you're like, right, that's that.
Yeah.
Or like sometimes they do talk about very minor things like he's shifting the weight of the car. And, when if you're reading the manga and you don't know or you don't care,
Yeah.
then you're just like, "Okay, whatever." But at least with the anime, they say it, he does it. You see it and you're like, "Oh, okay, so that's how it impacts the race." Like, that's why that's
Mhm.
important and that's why they're telling me. Whereas if you kinda don't care, reading the manga, you would get lost
Mm.
everywhere because it's
Yeah.
just a lot of technical things that you're just like, I don't care."
Yeah, it's literally, like, showing you how it's going down, like, in that moment as well.
Yeah.
I think it's when you're like that's one thing, like you're saying, like when you're explaining that in like a paragraph or a really short paragraph, then it could be like, wait, what? It's like you said, it does translate really well with
Well,
that,
it's
and it
also
does
like
help you out a
if
little bit.
if it's not a paragraph, then it's like panel after panel, and it's like, okay,
Yeah,
there's the text panel, and then there's the image panel, but it's still a like stationary image. So it's like you
yeah,
can say he's shifting the weight of the car and then show the back of the car, but it's
hmm
still a still image. So it's like,
yeah.
what does that mean though? Like,
Yeah. I agree, like, it probably is better shown that way. Again, like you were saying about what was it, the inertia drift, did you say?
yeah,
Yeah. Um, I love that it has names for these kind of drifts, and I just, like I see these things, and I was like, "It's a drift." I don't know any other kinds of drift, I just know drift. So, I didn't know they have a set yeah, I mean, listening to it, yeah, I understand they're giving it certain names and stuff like that, or
yeah.
it's like, "Oh, this is happening," but all of it is just like, to me, bro, that's a drift. I would not be able to tell you any different kinds, like, what the ones are,
Well,
like,
I mean, like
in
when I
between.
got into the series, I wasn't even that knowledgeable or that like heavily into like drifting.
Mhm.
Because, like, yeah, I played loads of racing games and stuff, but like, you know, most racing games are like grip racing, like standard racing. You breaking points and then you turn. You don't just like skid around the fucking corner. Like, you're not playing. I know Forza had a drifting, sort of like drifting mini games here and there, right? Or
Yeah,
drifting
yeah.
tournaments you could take place in. But like when we were playing, none of us are like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna drift around this corner. Like we'd slam into a
No.
wall
Yeah.
because we don't know what we're doing, right? But
Exactly
like
true that, yeah.
it was cool because Initial D taught me some of like like some techniques and whatever. But it's also cool because they actually had like the Drift King as a
Mm.
consultant, so he would keep
Ah.
things like the technical stuff probably is actually accurate because they had Keiichi Tsuchiya, like the king of drifting, as their consultant.
No way.
He's so like he actually is known or credited
Mhm.
as the like creator, the father of drifting. Like he used to go
Right.
onto the toge in an 8.6 and drift, like
No.
drive in a style that was unheard of at the time. And
Uh-huh.
people were like, "Whoa, look at him go! He's just like sliding around these corners."
Mhm.
So he's often credited as like the guy who potentially invented drifting.
Right, okay. And he's like basic consultant slash like advise on like
Yep.
what the series is. Right, okay, that's interesting. And like this is one thing as well. So like is he like a continuous I don't know how much you know about his relationship with the author on this at all,
So
Chuichi.
I'm pretty sure Keiichi's did Tsuchiya-san has just consulted like pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, yeah.
And also it's only partially based on Tsuchiya-san. So the tofu shop is real
Right, okay.
or was real. So in Gunma Prefecture, the real mountain is Mount Haruna, not Mount Akina.
Yeah.
And there was a guy whose family owned a tofu shop, and he did actually drive that mountain every day. And whilst he didn't drift, he was actually known as the fastest guy up and down the mountain.
Right, okay, yeah.
So it's like partially based on Tsuchiya and partially based on this real life guy.
Right, okay.
Like, believe me, after I read this series, I went down a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It's also really cool because a lot of the locations are real locations drawn incredibly accurately, and you can go to some of these toge and find the
Right.
exact spots. People have done it several times. Like, there's plenty of YouTube videos and stuff, like, that's how I've learned so much stuff. But, like, yeah, like, a lot of it's actually incredibly accurate, and you can just go see these
Mhm.
things, like, see these places where these, like, iconic races took place. Like, the guy I think th I even saw a video, the guy that supposedly it's partially based on that was from the tofu shop, he loves Initial D, and I think he might not now, but, like, when I saw that video, lived where the tofu shop used to be, his family tofu shop, and he just has Initial D stuff, like, memorabilia all over the fucking place.
No, I mean, to be fair, yeah, if you're like that that much of a fan, like, I mean, you said it's the guy that it was based on, right? The
Yeah.
tofu shop guy. Yeah, yeah. It's mad. Like, I mean, you would do, wouldn't you?
I mean, it's cool because it's like I mean, it's partially based on him, so because it was a real place, you can go to Gunma Prefecture. They have a
Mhm.
car museum, and literally they bought the sign from the old tofu shop, and they have an 86 in the museum, and there's like a tiny little like well, I say tiny because
Jeez.
it's the actual like an actual car, and you're
Yeah.
in a car museum. There's like a section, and it's like a shrine to it.
Wow. That's really cool. I didn't know any of this, all
Yeah.
this real life stuff. That's quite cool. Jeez. So, like, have you ever wanted to go to any of that kind of stuff? Like,
Oh,
see it
of
or
course.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but it's hard to be like, if you go on a trip with friends, it's hard to be like, "Hey guys, come with me so I can go to this car museum to look at this one car
Yeah.
and this one thing, and then let's bounce."
Yeah. Whereabouts
Although
is it in Tokyo? You say Gunma, is it?
it's in Gunma Prefecture, and I think it's partially up the mountain,
Right, okay.
but also I believe there's a cafe either at the top or the bottom of the mountain, and
Mhm.
it's an Initial D cafe, and you can
Right,
they
okay.
actually have cars you can rent, an 86, a Mazda RX-7 FD, and
Right,
I think there's an FC or there might be a S13 for Ikitani,
right.
but you can rent some of the cars. They've modeled them out. They've modded them so they look like
Wow.
from the anime and the manga, and you can drive them up and down the mountain and then bring them back.
Yeah, no drifting.
No, I mean, obviously not drifting because you know, but yeah, like you can do that. Like you can just do that.
That's really
You
cool,
can just rent the
jeez.
cars. It's pretty sick.
Yeah. Ah, okay. So, like, when the manga was coming out, because obviously we've just seen you, like you mentioned before, the manga was going up until 2013, so
hmm
almost 20 years. Were you reading this like the whole time, or like how were you, like, or have you finished the manga, or?
I finished the manga, but I started reading it. When did I start reading it? I think I started reading it close to when it ended, because
Mhm,
I think I started reading it maybe around 20. It might have already ended actually. I think I started reading it around 2014.
mhm.
So yeah, I think I started 2014, maybe 2015. So after it was all done and dusted.
Yeah. And when did you get into the series? Like, did you get into when you were a kid, or did you
No,
like?
literally, like I'd seen I just started seeing clips of it. Like that was around when we were playing
Mhm,
a lot of video games, and I was playing a lot of racing games, and I just started getting clips recommended to me of stuff.
mhm.
And I just remember seeing this thing and being like, "What is this? I don't know what this is, but like this is kind of cool." I was probably looking up drifting stuff just to be like,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
there any drifting videos out there?"
So did you get into so you saw the anime basically first from these
Yeah,
clips that you
kind
see,
of. Yeah.
and then you, like, just read the manga for it after that?
Yeah, because that was when we were being, that's when I was in my manga snob phase, I was like, I
Yeah.
don't watch anime, I only read manga.
Yeah. Which is such a weird thing
I
to
know,
have as
right?
well.
I know.
I is it I think I've also been in that kind of position where, like, I was like, "Oh, I always read the mangas," like, because there's always that perception back then as well, where with anime it took you longer to watch,
Yes.
and there was a lot of filler as well with a lot of them. Like when you look at something like Naruto, or like you ever heard
Yeah.
like bits of Dragon Ball Z and even One Piece, like they had quite a bit of filler back in the day. So there's always that thing where you're like, no, I just read the manga. It's easier, do it like that way. But like, I'm quite surprised that this is the first time you've watched the anime for it. That like this anyway. Like this is your first time.
It's it's partially because I was like, I already know what happens
Yeah.
because I read the manga and I was like, uh, okay, it's been probably a decade since I read it. That's probably why
Mhm.
this is sort of the perfect time to get back in because it's like I remember a lot of things, but I'm starting to forget things. And it's
Yeah.
about time for a refresher. And this was just like something new in that sense. Also, because like I talk about Initial D a whole lot and I watch a
Yeah.
lot of drifting stuff on YouTube. So I'm like, oh, why not? Let's just watch Initial D.
Yeah, because in our top 5 video, oh, this is going way back. This is going
Yeah,
like about 3 years back at this point.
essentially
Like
the start.
the start of Cultured Boys, because Initial D was in your
Top
top
five.
5, weren't it?
My
And
second favorite.
second
Yeah,
favorite. Right, okay. Yeah, yeah.
right after Dragon Ball.
Damn. Right after, yeah, yeah. Because funny enough, is quite funny how you've put all this on the, like, the fact that you started in 2014 and stuff like that, and got into it like that. Because, and it's the fact that it's your second favorite, because bit of behind the scenes this week, I bought all the volumes of Nisekoi. Again, very different, very, very different series. But again, my second favorite series, which I started in 2014, and basically reread all the manga because I haven't read it in a while. Oh, plus I got them on sale, quite like a
Yeah.
bunch of the volumes on sale like this week. But like it's quite a coincidence in this past like week or 2 weeks. So we've both basically
Experienced our second favorite
our second
series of
favorite
all time again.
series, which we both started around 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's that's quite a coincidence. um
Well, great
yeah.
minds think alike, I suppose.
So I mean, this is another thing as well, because a lot another behind the scenes. The next episode of Culture Boys is gonna be us watching MF Ghost.
Yes,
And
MFG, boy.
so I'm gonna be getting into that. I'll probably have to skip. I probably won't watch all of Initial D before I jump into it. I just wanted to get a grasp of what Initial D was before I move
Yes.
into this thing. And again, I have really enjoyed all of it so far, and I will try and keep up to date, but I can't guarantee I will. Especially if I'm skipping forward to the next series.
Well, luckily, MF Ghost takes place in the future, so there's not actually a lot. You don't actually really need to have seen Initial D to get into MF Ghost.
Right.
You can almost think of them as two separate series. The only thing is, some names get dropped from Initial
Yeah.
D. So it's like, but those names I could have explained to you. It wouldn't have had as much impact, but I could have just been like, oh, that's
It,
that's that.
it's a minor thing. Like there's not like a massive transition between the two. Obviously, it's the same style,
Yeah.
I imagine. But we'll carry on. But we won't talk about too much about that now, because that is the next episode, and you guys can look forward to that as well.
Yes. What I want to know is what you thought because, obviously I'm gonna sit here and gush about Initial D because this is my thing, but like what did you think in the 18 episodes you watched?
Okay, so watching it, I wasn't sure how I would react to this series, because obviously I've heard you gush about this for years now.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll see what the hype is about it. And obviously, it is like a quite a classic series. Obviously, started in the 90's,
Yep.
and again been drip fed this thing for years and years. As I mentioned before, that fucking like RC card I got in primary school, and I did really enjoy this. I think like there's certain things like it really shows its age in some points. I think I was gonna say, I think I messaged you at one point when I first started watching it. It's the
Yeah.
ending song, and the ending songs in this, like the first, because like the where I'm up to right now, there's been two ending songs. It's two ending songs. What the first one is, oh, okay, it's got little bits of car in it, it's got little bits of the anime, and then there's the actual band playing in the actual ending song itself. And when I saw that, I was like, "Whoa!" I've never, I don't think I've ever seen an anime do this where they actually include the band in the ending, like live action. Anyway, like,
It hasn't changed, by the way, by fourth stage.
yeah, that's mad. That's like, so it's like it's in its own little world of something that I've never really experienced before in terms of ending songs and this series itself. Um, but what else is there? The first opening for the part that I'm at, I don't rate it too much. It's an okay opening,
Yeah,
but
it's fine.
it's mad that the opening is quite meh, but I absolutely love the Eurobeat stuff. I mentioned it earlier before, but it really kicks in. It really adds to the to everything in this series. And like it gets you hyped. It does get you hyped. And I did find that watching this series, it is something that like I could have easily switched off
Yep.
in the first 5 episodes or whatever. And I thought to myself, like, I'll watch the first few episodes and I'll see how I get on from there. I don't know if I'll really enjoy this. And I watched the first five. I was like, yeah, this is decent. I'll keep watching. And I found myself watching more and more. And I could be like, oh, maybe I'll play something, play some video games now, or watch a different anime. But I was like, I'm actually enjoying this. I'll keep watching this anime right now, and it is really again, a lot of it is lost on me, but I do still I enjoy the ride of it all, and like I think the scenarios that the characters are put in, I think it's I'm quite interested to see where Takumi's limits are at this point, because we've seen him, like, obviously when you first find out he's the driver behind the 86, everyone's like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, what?" Big surprise. And obviously he's beating some like big names in the street
In this,
racing
yeah.
scene. Yeah. Um and then like there's certain bins where like he runs into was the Night Kids? Is it
Yep.
like is that the and there's a second driver in that car group, and he's cheating, he's like hitting the bumper, all that kind of stuff, like doing all this kind of stuff. And then also it's the what do they call it?
They call it the gum tape death race.
Gum tape death race, which is just a thing in itself, and it's like, okay, there's more and more limits being put on to me, but he always seems to come out on top. And right now, where I am in episode 18, he's racing against a driver called Marco, I think she's called.
Yes.
And this is the first time he's really raced outside of the
Mount
was
Akina,
it
yeah.
Mount Akina. So this is the first time he's raced, and then it's like and at this moment in time where I am in the anime, it hasn't shown whether he's won or lost yet. So I don't. And in most series, like I think early days, you see the main character show that they got strength, but they get beat down quite easily to show that, oh, you've got a way to go.
Yeah.
But Takumi keeps rolling. He keeps on winning right now, and I'm like, at what point does Takumi lose? This is the one thing that I'm like, kind of like, what does he have a limit right now? And like, I see him struggle bit by bit in different places, but he's never like losing in a point where
See,
he's like, oh shit, he's got.
that's
But yeah,
kind of the point of the series
yeah,
is everyone is trying to explore his limits because they're trying to push that with racing, it's not all about the power, it's about balance and the driver's technique.
hmm,
And everyone is basically saying that Takumi has incredible like driver sense. His like intuition for driving is almost unmatched. He's like genius level.
yeah,
But because he's oblivious to it all, he just drives on instinct. And you know when you do things on instinct, you can never explain to someone how or why you do something. So
hmm,
basically it's everybody constantly just being like, what can he do and what can he not do? So, especially in first stage where he's still exploring, all he's done is drive up and down the mountain delivering tofu for like 7 years, like or whatever, 5 to 7 years. Like he's been
yeah,
doing it since he was 15. Like he's he doesn't know, no one knows because they've only just started exploring it. But that's basically what the entire series is kind of like building on these like theories of driving techniques and things and just seeing how far they can go.
yeah,
It's strange. I know what you mean because it is different to every other series you would see where, you know, you have the obstacle there to beat you down and be like, right now we do the training arc.
Yeah, that is, but it's a different kind of scenario as well, isn't it? Because like you said, he has been on this mountain doing this. Like he's basically perfected it at this
Yeah,
point.
pretty much.
So doing a training arc would be redundant in this kind of thing. If it just means like, oh, he's been doing this, but he still needs to train. It wouldn't make sense. Like it makes sense in that kind of sense. But
It's funny because it's like he's done his training arc, but
yeah,
you never saw it, and what you're watching is like the refining.
yeah,
So he's constantly like
yeah.
training, quote unquote, but it's like, oh, he's a diamond in the rough, right? So like they're just sanding down the edges until he's like perfect.
Yeah. I guess it's like that kind of thing as well, because where the series starts, Takumi isn't interested in like street racing at all
No,
either,
he
and
doesn't give
he
a
just
shit about any of it.
he doesn't he really doesn't care. So and obviously as the series has gotten on, like he finds a love for it, and at this point he's got the mad skills. He's just like growing more and more in terms of his passion for it rather
Yeah,
than his skills. So it's a great way of character developing a character without developing their strength in some ways. It's more their personality that's being
yeah.
strengthened in this. So yeah, I'm saying that as a person that's watched 18 episodes. I could be completely wrong. It could change completely with like how the series goes, but from what I've seen so far, that's what it feels like.
No, I'll never tell. Literally, because
Thank
it's
you.
spoilers, you know.
It's spoilers, yeah, and maybe I will get around to it eventually. We'll soon find out. I think it's one of those ones where like I could easily have it on in the background as well, and just because I watched the dub as well. I think you did the same thing. Did you
Yeah,
watch the
because
dub also?
I
Yeah,
had it in the background as I was like
yeah, yeah.
working.
That's the one thing you could just do. Have it on in the background is the thing. I mean, you've watched it, but you've seen the
I
series
mean, to
before
be
anyway.
fair, even as someone who knows the entire series,
Mhm.
it's not like you. It's not really a series you need to pay 100% attention to because
No.
they do often tell you a lot of what's happening. So as long as you can
Mhm.
hear it and you look up at the right times, like you know who's ahead in the race, you know who's struggling, you know what technique is going on. You know what I mean? Like you sort of get all the information as it's going on anyway. It's not that you need to fully 100% like watch it.
Yeah. And like realistically, a race or like when Takumi goes against someone, the that probably spans over about 2 to 4 episodes
Yeah,
sometimes because it gets the setup of that character. That antagonist probably does something like which is like, oh, he's doing this, or like he pisses him off or something like that. Or it's like there's like the setup with another character with one of his
yeah,
mates, and it's like, ah, they beat your friend. You've got to defeat him, Takumi, like to show
yeah.
that you can
Oh,
beat them.
they're dunking on Ikutani and Kenji, or they dunked
Yeah,
on Itsuki.
yeah. They are all characters which are like part of the. Is it the Akana Speed Stars?
Yeah, the Speed
Yeah,
Stars, the worst team ever because they're all amateurs.
they're all like atrocious, but like like Takumi's just carrying this team at the moment. It's the only like it's the only good person of them, and they're all just relying on him at the time. Like these characters are they're like there's like there's a Krillin character who's like kind of
Yep,
just gets dunked on a bunch, and then there's like a secondary or third character
yep,
which usually is quite strong at the same time, who's like, like they usually get introduced really early on in the series. The main character beats them, and then they're like, "Oh, you're my rival. I'm gonna do this," but it's a friendly rivalry. But in this series, Takumi doesn't really have like in terms of the Akira Speed Stars anyway. He
yeah.
doesn't
That
have a friendly rivalry. He's just
no,
outclassing all of these other folks.
it'd be like it'd be like Krillin, Tien, and Yamcha versus like Ultra Instinct Goku,
Yeah, it
but
is
like a
literally.
Dragon Ball version of them from the original
Yeah,
before any
yeah,
cool stuff super happened, and then Ultra Instinct Goku comes down and just like
yeah.
slaps them all out of the way, like get out of my way, because like
Literally.
the rivalry is with Keisuke.
Yeah.
That's his rival, but Keisuke's from the Red Suns.
So it's a
That's his
completely different
Vegeta.
team, yeah.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's his
There's no
Vegeta. Everyone else is just like yeah, go Takumi, save our
Yeah.
lives.
And like even oh what was it? I think it was again it's if with the character who from the Night Kids who's a bit of a dickhead.
Takeshi.
Yeah, it's Keshi and
Wait,
he
as it
no no
the
not no no
first night?
not, not
Oh, Shingo.
no no Shingo and because he ends up like going through like and race against all of the Akina All Stars or whatever, Speed Stars. Again, still getting to grips with some of the names here. And again, I forgot his best mate's name again. Sorry, I keep on forgetting the names right
Itsuki.
now. Itsuki. So Itsuki's in his 8-5.
Yep.
And I was watching this episode. I was like, oh, you know what? This is Itsuki's time to shine. He's got this girl which he's trying to impress, and it's like, yeah, come on, Itsuki. You could imagine if like Itsuki won that race, it'd be like, oh shit, it just shows that Itsuki actually has some talent, or like he's doing something. But nah, Itsuki fucking drives to the fucking side of of the road and then just fucking fails. And I was like, oh, okay, so he doesn't actually.
I don't want to give spoilers, but Itsuki never gets his time to shine. Itsuki is always like I want to say like oolong type character.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So he's
He's
just
like
yeah.
there, and
Yeah.
he's you know he's part of the cheering squad, but
But he's
Itsuki never
never.
does anything.
Yeah. What about Ikutani? Does Ikutani like get?
No,
A
they're
thing?
all like the
No.
peanut gallery.
Are they literally just? They're just there to be like get beat down,
Yep,
and then Takumi's like, "Don't you hurt my friends?" And
yep.
then fucking
Ba-
yeah. Okay. Fine.
Basically,
Fine. Okay.
like you know how you compared them to like Krillin and the
Yeah.
other Z fighters. It's actually better to compare them to like Oolong, Bois,
Yeah.
Roshi, uh,
Jeez.
Yajirobe.
Feel like it's doing Roshi a bit dirty there, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, no, true, actually, yeah.
Yeah,
So
Roshi has some skill.
Yajirobe,
Yeah, like
Korin.
probably Bulma at this point. Like that, it
I
feels
think
like
Bulma
it's
does more than they do.
yeah. So like that's at least Bulma had like some kind of like she gives intel or something. They don't have. They barely have any intel. Okay, fine. It's just
they,
okay.
yeah, they
I
they
mean, I
really
understand. Yeah.
they really get relegated to peanut gallery.
Oh man. Well, at least I won't get my hopes up for that anymore. I'm gonna see Itsuki racing now, and I'm like, oh, I know exactly where this is going. He's gonna get beat the fuck down, and that's not like you said. It's not really a spoiler at all. It is just
No,
like,
he tries. He tries. Him and Ikutani, they're trying. They're doing more than Kenji.
yeah,
Of which we had to Google Kenji's name because he's so
yeah.
forgettable.
I was like, who's Kenji?
Yeah.
Like, it's just a guy that is there that feels like they need to big up the Akina Speed Stars a bit more. Like, because otherwise it would. Because when the Akina Speed Stars get introduced, it's like, yeah, we're this like racing group. We do this, and you feel like it's a bigger group than it is because Kenji's there. But before before Takumi or his mate who I've forgotten already, Itsuki, before they join, like it'd just be fucking Ikutani, basically. So
Well, that's it. It was Ikutani
yeah,
and Kenji and
Kenji
some
and
other randomers that never get named.
yeah,
But like,
exactly.
you know, Takumi never officially joined.
No, I know that as well. This is
So it's actually Ikutani, Kenji, and Itsuki.
yeah,
They're like the official members, and Takumi's like an unofficial member that just
yeah.
carries them up and down the mountain.
He is literally yeah. So funny. Because I was thinking this, like I think it must have been in the 8th or 10th episode, and I was like, it's never actually been confirmed that Takumi joined these guys, and it feels like they're just part of it, but obviously, like,
Well,
yeah,
it's funny because they're like, oh yeah, we're the Akina Speed Stars. This is our home turf, and it's like, no,
yeah,
Takumi just allows you
yeah,
to race on his mountain. Let's face it, it's
yeah.
his mountain.
It
You
is, yeah,
guys,
it is
you
kind of,
guys just look after it whilst he's gone.
yeah. Oh,
When he's not delivering tofu, you guys get to like sweep the roads for him. Like,
another bit of like, is that one episode as well where Itsuki gets his car, and then there's like a group of dudes that are just ragging on him and saying, "Oh yeah, you're 85 shit, you're 85 shit," and
oh,
everything.
those two
And
guys, yeah.
yeah, and then there was like this moment where I thought, okay, Itsuki's gonna show him up. He's gonna do something, and then the person who beats him is fucking Takumi anyway in Itsuki's car. So it's
Yeah,
not
but
even.
that's because Itsuki doesn't know how to drive it properly yet. He only got
Yeah,
his
but
license.
uh, I just going into this, watching other animes and taking what I know from other animes. I expected a bit more from Itsuki, is all I'd say. But
No.
I'm not. I'm not like exactly downtrodden. I'm not like, oh, I wish Itsuki got some time to shine. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. It 100 makes sense that he doesn't really do much. So
I mean,
yeah,
you can tell from the dub though. He was never going to do much. He's the comic relief.
but yeah. I I knew that he was never going to be like the top racer or anything, but I
No.
expected like a little like some like when there's that character which is just so shit at the start
Yeah.
and then they get better and better. I expect him to be one of those characters, but if you don't do nothing, then he don't do
I mean,
nothing.
he does make his improvements, but he really is just like the comic relief.
Mm. Yeah. He serves his role. He does his purpose. I think.
I mean, him and the other speed stars, they're your grounding, like,
Yeah.
oh, don't forget where you came from kind of
Mm.
thing. That's them lot.
Yeah.
That's it.
Jeez. But yeah, like all in all, I really enjoyed watching this. As someone that, again, not massively into cars, but I do enjoy like kind of like racing games and stuff like that. I'd say anyone that's like interested in this, I'd 100% recommend them to give this a shot. Like easy.
That's
And
what I want to hear. That's what I
yeah,
want to hear.
I
Yes.
enjoyed. I did enjoy watching the series, and who knows? I probably will try again. No promises, but I will try and keep up with it. We'll see how I get on with MF Ghost. If there's something that maybe I don't know. Is MF Ghost still going? Just a quick one before we
Yes.
wrap this up. It is still going. Okay, cool. There
The
you
the
go.
manga's ongoing. The anime, I think this is just it's either half a season one or is season
Or
one.
was- Yeah,
But there's only 12 episodes of that. Spoilers, I watched all of those. Um,
yeah, yeah. I'll
but
get on to watching that this week. So yeah.
yeah, MF Ghost is still ongoing as well, so
Okay.
excited for that.
Well, yes, absolutely. But if there's anything, you have anything left to say, Nathan?
Um, Go and watch this anime. It's cool. It's not. It will fill in the gaps. Maybe not well, but it will fill in the gaps decently enough. You can keep up by watching the races. The stories are fairly interesting. One thing Pepe and I never mentioned is they do sprinkle in some slice of lifey kind of things in there a little bit.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's a few love stories and things in there that happen. So, it's not all just racing and watching Takumi dunk on people who dunked on his friends.
But that is good 90% of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right though. Yeah, there are those like kind of romances and like relationships that Takumi like gets involved in. Some other smaller characters as well, which you find
Yeah.
out about.
Yeah.
Yeah. But right. Well, Nathan, if there's anything else, which I'm sure you're good. Any last words before we wrap this up?
No.
No. That if a guy has nothing left to say and he's the initial D guy, that means we're ending this episode.
Well, I got nothing
Right.
else to say because I could probably go for like hours, so I'm just gonna end it
Yeah,
here.
this guy. Yeah. So, we've almost hit an hour right now. But thank you for listening, guys. Have you ever watched or read Initial D? Let us know in the comments. But remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button for future Cultured Boys videos. Click the links in our bio. We've got links to our X and our podcast platforms there as well. And we'll see you guys next time when we watch MF Ghost. Be sure to tune into that. See you guys. Bye bye.
Bye.